Well, hello there, humans. It's Bushka here, and we're going to be doing a ranking video today. I'm going to start them off with the best guns, which are Conqueror level, all the way through to the worst, which are Delete the Game, you absolute muppet. You can see the delete down there. It also says Hot Drop, which is basically guns you just pick up and use if you had to use a weapon, and Potato, which is your middle of the road, stock standard. This is the loadout I like to run all the time. Ace is where it's like, that's a nice little upgrade, and Conqueror is where it's like, oh, booyah, let's get it on. I'm going to start this off with the M16A4, the 5.56 AR burst, 3 burst, and the M16, I'm going to put that on the hot drop section. A lot of people will disagree with me and say that that should be a little bit higher, but really, the M16 and the Mini fight with each other for the right to be the tap fire weapon of the 5.56 family, and neither of them are exciting to me in that role. I have used it a lot. I'm doing an M16 video at the moment, but at the same time, it's not like gotta have it. You can run it fine, but there are better options to have as a second slot weapon, and there's certainly better options to have as a primary weapon. Next up is the Famas. This is going to go in the Ace tier. That'll knock a lot of people's socks off. But let me tell you something. When the update 1.6 rate of fire, no, update 1.5 rate of fire changes happened, when 90 frames per second no longer got a bonus, the Famas got faster. And its time to kill now is the second best time to kill of any AR in the game. That's including the Groza. It's only low damage, 37.9 versus the 40.9 of a 416, but its time to kill is 0.266. That's faster than the AK, that's faster than the M762, it's faster than all the 5.56 guys. It's really, really, really quick. The funny thing about this gun is it also keeps the 937 meters a second or 909 meters a second bullet speed. So it gets a massive advantage in getting the shells there quicker or the bullets there quicker. Try it out and thank me for it. G36C also goes in the Ace tier. It's a 416 with no horizontal recoil. Sure, it's got vertical recoil, but you know how you fix vertical recoil? Drag your thumb down. Try and fix horizontal recoil by just dragging your thumb in one direction. It's only on Livic, but you should be running it. It's better than a 416. Next up is the M249. Originally, that would have been up here in the God tier. The 249 was broke and joyous. It had 100 rounds and the second best time to kill of any automatic weapon in the game. Faster than a Groza, or at least on par with it. It ain't there now, though. It's down in the hot drop section. I've got friends that would disagree with me, but I think that it's completely erratic recoil behavior. It's really unimpressive time to kill now. It's at 0.344. It goes down in the hot drop section. The Groza is no doubt still at the top. It is a Conqueror weapon. The fastest time to kill of any AR. One of the fastest time to kills in the game at 0.231 seconds to clear a level 2 vest. And a crate drop weapon to boot. It's an absolute Godzilla. It has the same headshot damage as an AKM, but fires about 20% faster, 30% faster. Crazy stuff. Then we have the M24. That's going to go in the Ace tier as well. This is the creme de la creme of world drop bolt actions. And as such, it deserves a spot in the upper echelon. Just a little improvement, a little off the sides, please, sir. It has 810 meters a second bullet speed. The fact that I know these stats off the back of my hand is kind of sad. But anyway, I'm proud of myself, but at the same time, who needs to know this? And it does more damage than a Car9 and an Mosin Nagant. The M416, this is going to be the big controversy. I'm putting that here in the Potato section. When people look at that and say the Famas is rated above the M416, they'll probably be like fuming and furious. But listen to me, hear me out. The Famas does one thing very, very well. That's CQC. The M4 does all kinds of things very, very well. What the M4 really excels at more than anything else, because you can get the same kind of sprays in the G36, the AUG, the SCAR, everything like that, is its ability to let you run other weapons. You can run an M24 if you have an M4. You can't run an M24 if you have an Uzi. You can run a DBS if you have an M416. You can't run a DBS if you're running an M24. You see where I'm going at with this? It's the straw that stirs the drink. So when I say Potato, I mean it's your go-to loadout. A little bit on the top is something special where it does one thing particularly well. Kar98K is Potato, and that should tell you all you need to know about where I think Potato as a level is. Kar98K is probably my favorite world drop gun in the whole game. So I think it does what it does very well. It's an excellent sniper rifle. It's not quite as good as the M24, but it is the kind of loadout like Kar9 and a M4 that you can aspire to. Flare gun, God level. No way around it. It is God level. AWM, God level. Flare gun, obviously, you get level 3 gear and 2 crate weapons. AWM is God level. Biggest damage in the game. In fact, I think it's the best gun in the game. Some people will tell you that that's crazy. You need to use an M4. I will ask you what you would prefer to be hit by. An M4 or an AWM, and then we'll keep talking. M762, that is stock kind of solid AR. This is probably the most common weapon for me to run in the game, is either an M7 or an AK. We'll get to the AK in a tick. I prefer them for CQC value. They're better than the 5.56 ARs for CQC, and it's a fair margin. 0.288 time to kill on the AK, 0.282 time to kill on the M762. That's 0.282 seconds to clear a level 2 vest, which is excellent. It also has a lower rail attachment, and while it does have bad vertical recoil is easier to control than horizontal recoil, and it's very good out to about 50, 75. DP28, I'm so tempted to put this in hot drop. I'm going to leave it in Potato, even though for me it's right on the cusp. It is certainly not up in ace anymore. They lowered the headshot damage, they lowered the rate of fire, they lowered the bullet speed. Bullet speed means more bullet speed means you don't have to lead the targets. It's like a laser beam. The further out you have to start, the lower the bullet speed, the further away from the target you have to start leading that laser beam. And the DP28 is now under 700 meters a second. That is lower than the bullet speed of an AKM. Try spraying with a DP28 on a moving target, and it should become self-explanatory. LMG number 3 is the MG3, God gun. The only thing that gives the Mark 14 a run for its money in terms of time to kill is this mad bastard. It's got no recoil. It's got crazy time to kill. It's got 75 rounds with the same damage as a M416. It does 40.0. But what it does have an issue with is reload. It reloads very, very, very slowly. Okay? So if you're running this as a sole auto weapon, you better be sure that you don't have to do the reload dance while you're waiting for it all to happen. But God tier. Mini 14 for me, I'm approaching hot drop. I hate the Mini at the moment. I'm so sick of hitting people in level 3 gear for 3, 4, 5 times when you start hitting leg shots and things, and they just don't fall over and they get away. I feel like if you're running a secondary weapon, you need to be running one that can actually knock people out. You can hit a level 3 helmet twice with the Mini and it won't knock them. For some reference on that, you can hit a level 3 helmet twice with an SLR and they're dead. It's pretty terrifying when you think about it, that the Mini's base damage 45.9 and the SLR's is 57.9. They've got very similar bullet speeds now, and the Mini's 1000 meter per second bullet speed is not so special anymore. The Mark 12, again, hot drop, slightly more damage, 47 damage versus 45.9 for the Mini, but lower bullet speed. 810 meters a second means you got to lead it by longer. It's in fact got less bullet speed now than an SKS. It's got the old SKS bullet speed, so that should go and tell you that it's just not that special. Mark 14, God gun, best full auto in the game, fastest time to kill in the game, the only gun that is an automatic weapon that has under 0.2 of a second time to kill a level 2 vest. It's 0.188. That's just freaking ridiculous. And it's won me so many games, it goes nowhere but there. It's also an outstanding marksman, has 50% more damage than a M416 and fires at the same rate. Call me crazy. Mark 47 Mutant is our first on the delete list. I have fun running this gun. It is not a good gun. It's too difficult to use, and it's only really, really good when it works. And when it works, holy balls does it work well, because it fires a 47.9 base damage round at the same damage as an AK, and it fires it 2 at a time. So your first round is possibly hitting for a headshot and the body shot, and you've nearly killed them if they're in level 3 gear. Like, that's crazy if you do that. If they're in level 2 gear, then you probably have killed them. It's like 66 and 29 damage. So you're looking at 96 damage if you hit headshot, body shot with that as soon as you press the button. 0. But apart from that, like, you better hit because it doesn't do anything else. Org 4. That's potato for me. This is worse than the G36C. It is probably, to be honest, worse than the M416 unless you have an extended quick draw mag, because it's a bullpup series of weapons. They all have a punishing reload time, including the Famas, the QBZ95, and the Org. I honestly wish it wasn't in a crate. I don't see why it's in a crate. But there you go. AKM is ace. This thing, when they changed the rate of fire so that you did not receive a buff from having 90 frames per second over 60 frames per second, they also buffed the rate of fire of the AK. And with its incredible headshot damage, it can one-shot someone that's not wearing a helmet in the head. Its ability to run as a pseudo DMR because of that, because its recoil is very, very steady when you're tap firing it, and its improved rate of fire, so it's got a time to kill of 0.288 seconds, which is brilliant. I've got that up in the ace tier. The headshot thing really does it. Like, at 20 to 30 meters, when you poke out and headshot someone with an AK, you wreck them. Mosin Nagant, potato tier. It's a Kar 98K with a few extra meters of bullet speed. That's all it is. So not that that's bad. I love it, but it's your go-to kind of loadout. All these weapons in the middle are go-to weapons, right? Clear as a bell. The MP5K. I'm putting that up in the ace tier. It's got an incredibly good time to kill, the same as the UMP. It can also mount a tac stock, which a UMP doesn't. And it's got super light recoil already. Lower not the rate of fire. The rate of fire is higher. The bullet damage is lower. So it's like an Uzi that mounts a 3X, a tac stock, a lower rail attachment, and yeah, an extended quick draw magazine. So it's pretty spectacular. Very good at hip firing. Very, very good in CQC, but obviously only on Livic. All these pistols here are in the delete section. Because if you're running a pistol, I don't know what to tell you. Point of interest for you guys, the P18C, this is the Scorpion. The P18C has a faster time to kill than the Scorpion. Most people think the Scorpion's the best pistol. The P18C kills quicker than a Scorpion, just so you know. P90, hot drop only. It's right on the edge of this, but it's not good enough as an SMG. It's 50 rounds is good, and it's been improved with the recent changes to rate of fire with the, again, like the AK and the Famas, it got a rate of fire buff when they changed the frame rate issues, but it's still only just under 0.3 in terms of time to kill, and it has the same 384 meter a second bullet speed. It's not particularly nice that you can't run any other attachments on the top of it, and you can put a laser sight on it. So it's good off a hot drop. That's about it. QBZ95, middle of the road. It's a SCAR-L clone, has all the same stats as the M416 and the SCAR-L. Same rate of fire, same damage, same bullet speed, slightly less than the M4, and it's a slightly longer reload. So, I mean, what do you want me to say? It's a 5.56 AR. It's the vanilla sauce that makes the world go round. QBU, this is ace. People don't know what they're talking about if they don't know what the QBU do. This is a gun that has higher damage than the SKS with 54.8 base. The SKS is 53.0 base and has 937 meters a second bullet velocity. That's the same as an AWM. It's the same as an M416. So you've got those things going for you, and you also have 5.56 recoil. Don't sleep on that gun. I have won many games on Sanok back when FPP was the thing, running double QBU. It is crazy good. DBS is hot drop only for me. I have a real problem with shotguns in that their variance is too big, and if you have bad packets or you get beaten by desync and you're on high ping, shotguns don't work. They're the kind of things where if the situation is perfect, you're killing it. If it's not perfect, then you're screwed. Like if they're 25 meters away instead of 10 meters away, then you're dead because the shotgun's not going to get it done. And you can't run something with a shotgun like a bolt action. It's so specific to what it does. And again, this is why the M416 is good. You can run an M4 with the DBS and it brings the gun out to its fullest. Deagle, revolver, R45, all fine pistols in their own right. Certainly not belonging anywhere apart from the delete section. AMS ABKAN is another gun that you should not be running at all, ever. It has less damage than a 5.56 AR. It gets one less. It has much worse recoil than a 5.56 AR. And its burst mode is arse. The bullets are too far apart, they're spread, and their damage isn't high enough to make it worthwhile. At least the Mutant can do crazy things when it has to. Neither of these guns should be held if any of the weapons above them are available for any length of time, apart from maybe a shotgun like a DBS. Okay, I'd take an M16 over the ABKAN or the Mark 47 Mutant. S12K again is a hot drop weapon, as is the S1897 and the S686. You can run specialist loadouts where you have fun with your shotguns, and that's great, but let's be honest, they are incredibly limited weapons and they don't have anything going for them if you're playing on thumbs. Hitting shots with those things is impossible. Sawn-off shotgun, for God's sakes, delete. Scar L in the potato section. I think the M416 is a little bit better. I wouldn't have it in ace. I spray with the Scar L all the time, hit those 150 meter sprays with 3Xs. It's a joke. Bizon is so close to delete, it doesn't matter, but I'm going to put it in the hot drop section. Some people love this thing, but I will tell you what the Bizon does well. It has 50 rounds without having to get an extended magazine, and it has relatively low recoil for a 50 round weapon. That means if you're a snake, you can lie down in the grass where you can't ADS and spray with your Bizon and a silencer and make kills that way. I mean, if that's how you want to play, you're watching the wrong channel. There's a grass going channel just down the road where you can go and be as boring as fuck without bothering me. Over here is the SKS. That's in the potato section. Had a big buff. It's up to 900 meters a second bullet speed at update 1.7, and that's a great thing because it means you have to lead the targets by less, and its recoil is improved as well. However, it's still a little low on the damage for me to rate it higher, and you've got to get a lot of gear to make it work to its full potential. SLR goes up to the ace. 937 meters a second now for the SLR, with reduced recoil recovery and overall recoil means that this thing can now perform like not quite tapping as fast as a mini, but tapping and having 58.7 damage, 57.9 damage. Let me just check that. I'm pretty sure that's right. 57.9 damage instead of the Mini's 45.9. That means you can clear someone with 2 headshots. Mini 14 can't do that. It also means you don't have to lead the target by very much because it's now got AWM bullet speed, 937 meters a second, that is. The Tommy gun, into the potato section. Not as good as the MP5K, has a little bit more recoil and no way to compensate for that because you can only mount a suppressor. You can put a vertical foregrip on it, which helps a lot, but its horizontal recoil is a bit all over the place. It's not hard, but it's not as good. I'm saying the Tommy is right in the stock. If you want to run it, you're going to run it because it has 50 rounds and 42.9 base damage on its rounds, which means you have an exorbitant amount of damage to pump out there with the bad stuff. Sorry, 41.9. UMP is 42.9. You can clear squads with a Tommy gun and an M4 or a Tommy gun and an Uzi or whatever. It has a lot of killing power. And the UMP, that goes up the top above the Tommy in the ace section. The UMP has 42.9 base damage, which is the highest of any SMG. Considerably higher than the crappy 36.6 on the Bizon. The Bizon has a rate of fire of a round every 0.089 seconds. The UMP has a rate of fire of 0.085 seconds per round. So the UMP is faster than a Bizon and has 6 more damage. And boggle recoil while being able to mount an angle grip and a compensator. It's one of the best hip-fire weapons in the game and has won everyone that runs it religiously many, many close quarters engagements, fully deserving its place in the ace tier. The Uzi is just below this. The Uzi would be higher if it had a bigger bullet capacity, a bigger magazine off the drop, and if it also could mount some attachments. It can mount a red dot and a compensator, but it fires so quickly and is so effective at what it does, but it's so limited. There's no versatility to the Uzi. So it's something you can run as a loadout and can enjoy completely fine, but it's not ace tier. It's not that special little extra. Same with the Vector. The Vector for mine's biggest problem is if you don't have an extended magazine, it's pointless. It's way too small a magazine size and the reload is far too long. If you get it fully kitted out, it starts pushing ace. It's time to kill. And this is one of the things I find funny when people complain about me hating the Bizon. The Vector has the same bullet speed as a Bizon. And when it's got 33 rounds, its time to kill is 0.256 or 0.26 actually. The Bizon's is 0.356. The Vector poops all over it, and yet people never use the Vector for the things they use the Bizon for. Anyway, no recoil, but no bullet speed, and too hard to get maxed. This is a tough one, the VSS. On solos, it's probably up here in the potato section. In squads, it's something that you probably don't want to run very often. I'm going to leave it in the hot drop section here. It's very much affected by both who you're playing with and what mode you're playing. If you're playing solos, it's outstanding as a silent killer when no one knows what's happening. It got buffed recently as well, so it does 42.9 instead of the previous 40.9. That's like 5% damage buff, which is pretty impressive. If you're in squads and the guy next to you is firing an AWM, they know where you're coming from, and being silent isn't going to help you at all. Plus the fact that it's subsonic at 333 meters a second bullet speed means you've got to lead your targets by an absolute arseload. And if they're already running from squads that are flailing away at them, it's much harder to hit with the VSS. Situational, like a shotgun. It's brilliant when it's brilliant, and when it's not, it's just taking up space in your backpack. Now we get to the Winchester, and this is, in my opinion, a delete the game and reinstall if you're running this thing regularly. A scope that's 2.7 or 2.9 magnification means it's like sniping with a 3x on a slow rate of fire weapon. You'd be better off just tap firing with a 5.56 AR. It's great when people are stationary and I want to peek and no one has any good helmets and it's early game and they're behind a rock, but that's so situational. Kar 98Ks, M24s, Mosin Nagants, they all do it a whole lot better. It's the ugly stepchild, the bottom of the rung for a sniper rifle. Finally, we have the XM1014. Now, I haven't included the crossbow in this because I forgot to do a thumbnail. Crossbow would be in the hot drop section. You use it if you have to, just so you know. Quality is a level 3 on it, which is nice. The XM1014 is the only shotgun I have up here in the potato section. It is super reliable compared to the other shotguns. Still can leave you a little bit wanting for more at times, but it is affected by ADS, and because of that, and the fact that it can mount a choke, it's effective out to a far longer range than the DBS and the S12K particularly. That's it, boys and girls. I hope you enjoyed that look at all the weapons in PUBG Mobile, where they rate, how they rate, and why they rate. I'm happy to receive constructive criticism, but if you come at me and just say, you're an idiot, the M416 is the best gun in the game, I'm going to tell you you're an idiot too and block you, because you don't know what you're talking about. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and if you like these lists and these videos, then why not leave a comment below and let me know, and I'll maybe do some more. Look after yourselves, and until next time, stay safe on the battlefield. Bye for now.